Welcome, everybody. It's Saturday, August 9th, 2025, and this is episode 11 of the Great Western Podcast. I'm joined by David Chu, basketball historian. We're going two-handed again today. All right, everybody. So last week we did a riveted top 100 Bleacher Report episode with Sylvain and Jay. They're both out today, so Chu and I decided, hey, we're gonna do a lightning round again of the top 100. We also decided that we're going to kind of keep it more modern NBA players because what we learned last week, at least I did, was that it's hard to judge players that I've never seen play from the 50s, 60s, 70s. And while we got love for them, we're just going to kind of go lightning round. Chu, what do you say to that?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, we're gonna jump right in. Okay. Okay. By the way, thanks everybody. Like and subscribe. We're at 24 subscribers now, so let's keep this train moving. Okay,
We,
everybody.
we love you.
We love you. I hope we hope you enjoy this material. We love it. We've been talking basketball since we were literally 5 years old, so to be able to do this is really fun. All right, let's go. Chu, Artist Gilmore. No,
Pass.
pass. We don't know. Lightning round. Dave Bing. Oh,
Pass.
pass. All right, Klay. We got to give Klay some love. The Splash Brother. What's your take on Klay here?
I think he has the most threes per dribbles taken in NBA history.
What are those stats, right? They at Sports Center, it's like Klay has 53 points with 12 dribbles. Catch and shoot three monster, right? You under not obviously playing next to Steph. He gets glossed over a little bit, but in terms of that dynasty, he's the Pippen to the Jordan of Curry and Klay, right?
Yep.
Yep.
There was a point where they were considering trading Klay Thompson for Kevin Love right before the
Yeah.
dynasty happened. And I forget who it was, Bob Myers or someone was like, no, we can't trade this guy. And man, as a Clipper fan, I wish they did, but
Yeah.
dude,
Look, he's
smart move. I mean, the perfect role player does not seem like he has that much ego. Um, yeah, just like one of
yeah.
the greatest shooters of all time.
Definitely. And I would say honestly, like also one-time all NBA defense, his defensive play was also underrated. I think playing next to Steph, it was very important. And obviously
Yes,
his shot is there. He doesn't blow out his knee. They probably beat the what was it? Was it the Cavs or no, against the Raptors where he hurt his knee?
Raptors.
It was
Yep, they
against the
win. They
Raptors.
win against the
They
Raptors,
probably went
and if
against the Raptors. So, and they
yep,
would have won 4 out of 5 instead of 3 out of 5. A lot of people think they should have won 5 out of 5, right? But Klay Thompson, got to give him some respect. Let's keep cruising here. Oh yeah, also, well, let's see what he does in Dallas this year. Bernard King, know the name.
I know that this guy was a top. I think yeah, one scoring title. Like I think in like '84, basically right before I was born. So
Yeah.
pass.
Yeah, nice shooting motion there. All right. Joe Dumars. Okay, I know you got some love for Joe Dumars.
Yeah, yeah. Lockdown defender, solid defender. Let's see. Yeah, five times all NBA defense.
Gotta take that.
Um,
Gotta love that. Still a
he
little bit
put
out of
together.
our prime. Yeah.
Yep, he put together. I believe he was the GM of the Chauncey, Rip Hamilton, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace team that took down your Lakers. So
He-
yeah, this guy has had, and he's still the GM for the Pelicans. He just got the job.
okay. Yeah,
Like this guy's a legend. This guy's been decade, 80s, 5 decades. He's been in the NBA for 5 decades.
yeah, you
Um,
gotta respect him. I remember watching the tail end of his career. I mean, just like we were talking about one of what dynamic backcourt with Isaiah Thomas, right? Give him some love.
who do you think, off the top of your head right now, who do you think is the modern equivalent of Joe Dumars?
Oh, off the top of my head, the modern equivalent of Joe Dumars. Geez, we want a two guard who plays defense, can score a three. I don't honestly. Hey, KCP in his prime. I don't know, like
CP,
a
okay, yeah.
KCP type
Also
player.
drafted by the Pistons.
Like a two guard. Wow, who do you got on there?
Chris Dunn.
Chris Dunn. Okay, all right, it's a stretch. Okay, all right, Dave. Okay, Debussy, good for you. I have no idea. We're gonna go. Bill Sharman. I don't know. Good for you. Looks good. I have no
Yep.
idea what's going on here. Tatum, you know,
Yes.
career's not over. He has a long way to go. But he's got a long way to go up this list. He needs to win more chips. Probably wish him the best as he comes back from the Achilles. What do you say?
One of the, I mean, probably he's probably been top five for at least 5 years in a row. I don't know how many players in the history of NBA can say they were a top five player for 5 years in a row. Not many. the thing about Tatum, I mean, he's efficient. He's like, I just don't know anything about him. I feel like he has no personality. I know he has a son named Deuce. Like,
He's big on that. I think
seems like he's a good dad, which is respect. But like, it's interesting. I feel like he's a very, he's so well media trained. He never says anything wrong. He just is very, to me, boring. He just goes out and just like makes the conference finals every year, just solid,
yeah.
consistent. But as a fan, I don't really connect with him.
That's fair. I mean, he definitely flies under the radar. He's not an outspoken leader, and that I think there's some knocks on him, but I think he's not. I don't want to say he's underrated, but I think the story needs to be written. Let's see what he can do. I mean, he got to the top of the hill once after going to the Eastern Conference Finals several years in a row. When he comes back, how is that team going to look? What's that team going to be? Who's going to be on that team? I mean, they just signed Chris Boucher, and like who's starting for them? They're not even going to compete this year. So I think the jury's still out on Tatum. I hope that he kind of comes back stronger than ever. Also, I want to say Lakers could have had him. Yeah, what he Lakers could have. We took Lonzo instead. Whatever. All right,
Is that
let's.
what happened? Is that what happened? He
Yeah,
went three? Oh my God.
we took Lonzo over him, and then we took I think no, was it Lonzo? Yeah, it was Lonzo. All right, let's keep moving. Tatum, lot to be said still to climb up this list. Wilkins, legendary player. I know him, but I don't know much about his game.
And coach, I think he was a better coach than a player,
He
honestly.
was a coach for a long time. Yeah,
Yeah.
time assist champion, 9-time All-Star. Can't go wrong with that. Chauncey, big shot, Mr. Big Shot over here. He came on late in his career. I feel like he didn't come out and started playing in the NBA, was a baller, but he really evolved his game, became a great leader, became a clutch player, and obviously tore my heart out when I was a teenager, beating the Lakers.
Yes. Do you know that I mean he's always the example of a late bloomer because he was drafted,
Yes,
I think, by the T-Wolves or the Celtics, like top five or six or something.
let's look. Yeah. Was
And
he what
didn't catch on until a couple of years in.
was he a lottery pick? He was, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
know that him and Kyle Lowry are like that.
oh, he was third overall, actually, third in by the Celtics.
Wow.
When he moved around, but one-time champion. He was the MVP of that finals. Like he was the guy that kept that team together. Big love for Chauncey.
And now the coach of the Blazers, and a thing I was thinking about was so the Blazers now have Chauncey, Lillard, and Drew Holiday to mentor Scoot Henderson,
Right? I mean,
which
yeah,
which you can't. I mean, think of those three guys. I mean, legendary point guards right there. So I'm rooting for Scoot Henderson. He had a rough couple of years, but he's going to have some of the best point guards ever. Just speaking to him,
yeah.
which is what he needs because he's
He
an
needs
athletic
it.
freak.
And they moved Simons. They moved Simons, so they definitely want the runway for him. I mean, that Portland squad this year is going to be interesting with I mean,
Yeah.
Kamara has really come on as a great defender. They got some bigs, They got Klingon from last year. They moved Aiton. Let's see, I mean, that team has a lot of moving parts. Okay. Chris Webber, man. Yeah, I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say right now. He got robbed. He
You
got robbed by the
you
NBA.
owe this guy a championship right here, dude.
Okay,
The Lakers franchise owe Chris Webber and the Sacramento Kings a championship.
I'm gonna publicly say it here. When I apologize because when I was watching it and he hurt his knee, and he didn't play. Like I was so happy as a teenager watching him go down, and I really actually do feel bad about that. Like it was a that was a great matchup. They could have the Kings could have beat the Lakers that year, and Chris Webber goes down, and then it's kind of like takes the wing out because he was really playing well, and I'm really happy for him and the way his career evolved. And he got better, as time went by as well. But he was a rookie
Wait,
and he fell
can,
off. Yeah.
can you remind? Because I don't remember that. Was it a close series and he went down, or what happened?
I remember the play exactly. Like Shaq was guarding him. It was the playoffs. I think it was like early in the series. I don't want to again,
Mm.
I'm recalling this from 20 years ago, so I don't want to say definitively, but I just remember it was the playoffs and he got hurt. And he was playing against the Lakers, and the Lakers ended up winning that series. And I was like, I don't know specific. I can't. I have to do a deeper dive to get to the deep, like to know exactly what it was. It like 2 games, 2-1. Someone fact check me out there. Someone fact check me out there. But
That Kings team, that early 2000s King team, and they have not. They've been bad ever since. But that Kings team was so awesome, so likable.
yeah,
Freaking like
they were the
Bobby
nemesis.
Jackson off the bench and baby. Um, Brad Miller was on those teams.
Okay, I
Lottie.
looked it up. Yeah, Brad Miller, Mike Bibby. Uh,
Yep.
it was during the 2003 playoffs, game two in the Western semis. Oh no, this was against this occurred after the Kings faced a controversial loss this was the year after controversial loss in the 2002 Western Conference Finals.
And he was never really the same after that.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
he was a great player, you know.
totally. Totally. In a time of great power forwards of Garnett's and Dirk and Duncan's, like Chris Webber was with talent wise was right up there with them. But didn't have the same career.
Yeah, apparently I'm remembering this incorrectly then because this is saying it was against the Kings, but yeah, maybe, you know.
Nice.
Yes. All right. Earl Monroe, Pat, we love you.
Pass.
Pat, New York legend. Draymond Green, polarizing player, you know,
Yes.
polarizing player. Is he a top 100 player? If you look at it, like, it's my question for Dre. It's always ahead of Clay. I don't know about ahead of Clay for me personally.
I always think with him is what happens if he was, drafted by the T-Wolves or the Kings. I honestly wonder,
You're always gonna have that.
is he a result of playing next to one of the top 10 best players of all time, or would he have been this good regardless? I don't know. I cannot answer that.
This is always going to be the question mark with Draymond's career. Obviously, he's a great cerebral player, great passer, great defender, and in his prime, he was a very great, like, he was the exact glue also with Clay and Steph. So it's like, you can't take it away from him. But I personally think he probably wouldn't be in the top 100 if he was drafted by a different team. Maybe he'd still have a great career. Maybe he'd still be a great player. I don't think that he should be ahead of Clay. Draymond, if you're watching this, tell me why you think you should be, do you think you should be ahead of Clay? I don't know.
So the first time I ever saw Draymond, I remember specifically Clippers were playing the Warriors, and I think in a big game, it was to end out the season, or maybe it was the playoffs, and I hadn't paid much attention to the Warriors. And Draymond was it was when he was I think coming off the bench, David Lee was still there, and he was messing with Blake Griffin. And if you remember at that time, 2012-ish maybe, the Clippers were like on the ascension up. They had just gotten Chris Paul and everything was going well, and you're thinking, oh, this is going to happen. And then I remember Draymond Green got in Blake Griffin's head. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? You know? And then basically from that minute on, Draymond Green owned the Clippers for like the next like 7 years.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's an argument for right? The mental aspect of the game. He's a very
Yes.
polarizing figure, as you know. The kick to Steven Adams, the suspension in the finals. Look, at the end of the day, I'll give you this. Draymond Green is a guy you want on your team.
Yes.
He plays championship level basketball, and you can't take it away from him that he got drafted by a good organization and put him in the right opportunity to succeed. We always talk about that opportunity, team chemistry, these things. But I still would take Clay in an all-time ranking above him. But didn't he win Defensive Player of the Year? Or did he win it this year or
Yep.
no? Yeah,
One time.
crazy. So I'll give him his flowers, but let's keep moving. Zoe.
Yes. What do you remember about
What do I
Morning?
remember about Zoe? I mean, I remember he was a dominant force in Miami, but he came up with the Hornets, right? With Grandmama at the time. I don't remember too because I watched the limelight of his career. I know he's definitely one of those players. He ended up winning a ring with the Heat or no? Yeah, he
Yep.
won in
When
the
when Shaq was there.
yeah, so this was kind of like in the later part of his career. He's almost on that list of great players that never won a chip, right? Because like he went in the later part of his career, and so you never talk about him in that way. But he was a dominant player. Obviously, I mean, career key stats: 17 and 8, three, great defender, two-time All Defense, uh, All NBA, Defensive Player of the Year. He was a monster. You got to give Zoe credit.
Yeah, I remember he went to Georgetown right after Patrick Ewing, and that was like the talk of the 90s, right? How
Yeah.
Georgetown produced these two of the best centers ever, right? Back to back. And I also remember, I believe it was him who, during those fights with the Knicks,
Right.
I think Jeff Van Gundy was holding his leg,
Oh
like
yes.
like the way a kid holds like a freaking
Oh yeah,
carousel.
yeah, yeah. Hold on, hold on. Was that Zoe? Was that Joe
Dude, Jeff Van Gundy fight.
holding leg? Yeah, is that
Yeah,
that's
I think this
yeah.
is
This is one of the most iconic this photo right here, right? One of the most iconic photos in NBA history. There were some brawls, dude. There were some brawls. I mean, Jeff. Who was that?
Oh,
Charles
you know what?
Oakley, Tim Hardaway.
That's a great photo right there because I feel like Hardaway is the guard version of Mourning.
That was a good team, dude. Yeah, they're tough players. You know, um, I
You know,
mean,
they were never the best. They were Hardaway was never the best point guard in the league. Mourning was never the best center. It was awesome that they teamed up.
yeah.
They were both honestly from like a underground legend standpoint. I feel like they're both right there. Like to be 87th. Is Tim Hardaway on this list?
Well,
Probably not.
probably, maybe. I don't know. We'll be ahead of him. Let's find out. Is he on this list? I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like he would you put Tim Hardaway ahead of him? But interestingly, so Clay and Draymond being four-time champions and part of a dynasty doesn't outrank, according to the Bleacher Report, the greatness of Alonzo, which is
hmm
which they're clearly valuing kind of like stats here, blocks, defensive rating, and presence of the team more than maybe championships, right? Which jury's out on that too, I think. So big love for Zoe. True. I don't know if we're gonna make it to. I don't know if we're gonna make it to all through 100. I think. Well, let's just see where we get.
We
We'll
could make it. We could do top 30 and just do 30
Yeah,
each. This is this
we'll
is good.
see.
I like
Let's see
this.
how we go. We started. It's probably been about 25 minutes now. So let's see. We'll just keep going. Hey, we're having fun, on a Saturday morning. You know.
We need to shout out our French colleague Sylvain for
Yes,
Tony
yes.
Parker
We have to. We have to.
and now Spurs bandwagon fan. So
Right now,
this guy,
no, you're right. Sylvain, this one's for you. True. What do you say when you think? What do you think of when you think of Tony Parker?
I remember him when he won. Didn't he win Finals MVP when he was a rookie or when he was a second or third year player?
I'm not sure.
Um,
Let's look that
I
up.
remember those finals, and that's when when with prime Tim Duncan, he was killing those finals, dude. Um, I remember just being like, "Who is this guy?" And yeah, he had a great
2007.
career.
2007 Finals MVP.
Okay, so that was like what his third year, fourth year maybe.
Yeah, that was when they swept the Cavs.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, he was great, dude. You know what? I always rooted for the Spurs, so I always found myself rooting for this guy. Um, my favorite Spurs team is the one that Parker was older and Kawhi won an MVP when they beat the Heat. That I love that Spurs team. But yeah, this guy is just solid as they come. Quick. Um, yeah, just great player. What do you
Clutch,
think about Parker?
clutch player. Again, I
Clutch.
I wasn't rooting. We were in high school. We were locking out of high school. We were hanging out in the quad at these times. Like I was always rooting for the Lakers. So Tony, obviously, along with Duncan and Ginobili and those guys, Tony Parker is one of those guys I hated growing up. Because why? Because he's good. Like when he's beating your team, he's clutch. He makes the right play. He's a star. And I think he was not a lottery pick. Was he even a first round pick? I think he was maybe a
I don't
second,
know. Maybe late first round.
whatever it was. He was definitely not a lot. I don't think it was a lottery pick, but he's still one of those players, that was you don't necessarily see coming out of, he wasn't, highly kind of vaulted coming into the league, but you got to give this guy his credit. He was the right point guard for that Spurs dynasty. You got to give him credit, dude. That's it.
Yeah, he was aggressive when he needed to be too. Like he
Yeah.
would. I feel
Smart
like he was a
player.
score first. But yeah, he knew smart. Exactly. Smart
Yeah.
and quick and knew
He
and
didn't
knew when to turn it on and when to defer.
Right? Because like these numbers, they don't jump off the page. 15 points, not like that crazy. 5 assists, not that crazy. Rebounds, definitely. There's something about his presence, and I think that stats doesn't catch, but he's definitely deserving to be on this list as the floor general of the that dynasty team. Sam Jones, no idea, no idea. But he's got
Ah,
he got that's nice triceps there though.
yeah,
10
that's the steroid era right there.
five-time All-Star. Okay, we'll take it. Okay. Adrian Dantley, no. Nope.
Pass.
Pass. Jimmy Butler. Okay, interesting.
Interesting. This is an
Jimmy
interesting one.
ahead of these everyone that we ahead of Tony Parker. I don't know, dude. Why? Because of his individual ability as a scorer, player, top dog. Sure, but he's never won a championship, right?
Nope.
No, he's been Jimmy Buckets. He's an amazing two-way player. In his prime, was a dominant two-way player. So you got to give him credit. He dominated basketball in a way that Tony Parker never did, the way Klay did. So I guess you could that's in terms of a top 100. I guess you could make an argument that he's a better player just in terms of basketball. But it's hard for me to look at Jimmy Butler and say he better than a guy who's won four chips, five chips, and been an integral part of the team. Yeah, maybe he didn't have the opportunity to be on good teams, but he also, he got moved. He moved around a lot. Those Chicago teams were not very good, but he was a baller. He got moved. He moved to Minnesota. He moved to Philadelphia before he found a nice home in Miami. And then look, that ended poorly too. So, you love to talk about attitude and locker room guy, and it's like I like Jimmy. I like him I think his tenacity is there, but when you look at his career and how much he's moved around, that's hard for me to say that he's, an all-time great in the way that those other team building championship level players are that we just talked about with Parker and stuff like that, and even Draymond and Klay. So,
Yeah, well said. Well said. Uh if I was starting a franchise, I would take Clay over Butler for sure.
like
Um,
knowing what you
I
know.
would say I would say the thing about his Chicago times that was tough because Rose was injured. That's a big what if team, right?
Right.
Right when Butler emerged, Rose was already finished. Um, he went to the T-Wolves where he blew that whole situation up. He had his best shot with the Sixers, and then Kawhi ended it with that freaking dagger from the corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he forced his way out of the Heat. But the one thing I wanted to say about Butler was I remember reading a long time ago. I don't know the exact quote, but and I think he was serious. In all of his cars, he doesn't have a rear view mirror because he doesn't like to look in the past. Like he's that kind of guy.
Is that can't be real? Is that a real thing? Is that what he says?
He did say that. I don't know if that was a joke or if he took off all the rear view mirrors in his cars.
I like his attitude. I like his swagger. I don't mind it too much when he's talking. I think he's good with the media, but I think in the locker room and what happens, like the kind of the baggage and the dirty laundry, and it's one of those things where it's like, well, when people say like the drama follows me, well, yeah, I don't know. After one team, two team, three teams, calling out players, right? Like
Yeah, let's move him down. Let's move him down to the 90s.
yeah, I would replace those guys that we talked about on top. I would put them ahead. I would not put people that have won four chips ahead of this guy, especially anyway. So I do think he's a great player, and I think that let's see. I mean, what's he gonna do what's he gonna do with the Warriors? I mean, they had a nice run
Well,
with
he joined the said players you're talking about.
yeah,
So
right. So okay, so Jimmy, we love you, but I don't know. What do you guys think out there? There are we. How's our assessment? Bob Lanier, no idea.
pass.
Pass. Dikembe. You got to give love for Dikembe.
I gave this guy a high five one time. I used to work at the LMU athletic ticket office,
Uh-huh.
and the when teams would come in to play the Clippers or Lakers, they would practice the morning of at LMU, and so I'd see a lot of them. And he was on the Rockets at that time,
He jumped
at the
around a
very end,
lot.
at the very end of his career. Um, and yeah, this guy's solid. Like, I think he might be overrated,
I
I
mean,
would say.
ahead of Lonzo and stuff too. I think when I think of Dikembe, I think of that one time where they upset the number 8 Nuggets team, upset like a number 1 Sonics team or something, and he's on the ground with the ball, and it was like he's very like galvanizing force, and everyone loves Dikembe, I think, and
Mhm.
but yeah, again, like he
But did he
jumped.
die? Did he die?
Did he pass away? I think he did pass away. No,
RIP legend. I mean, yeah. The joke was always with him is you never knew how old he was. He came into the league at like 28.
he died September
But
30, 2024. So it's been about a year. So yeah, RIP, legendary
yep.
player. But yeah, I mean, we're talking just basketball. I
I
think people loved him. More than necessarily like he on offensively he was not really a threat, was he? You know?
I think this is a classic regular season floor raiser. Um, it's tough when you go up against Prime Shaq, but he was this picture is when he was on that 2001 Sixers team,
Right.
where Shaq just took this four-time Defensive Player of the Year. That's exactly why Shaq should be in the top 10. He took a four. You go watch Shaq in that finals against this four-time Defensive Player of the Year, and you can see how good Shaq was. And this is like
Yeah.
he you know who this is like Gobert is the modern day
Nice comp.
Mutombo.
Nice comp. And he was older, but still, yeah, right. Like they brought him in to body up Shaq, and at that point, no one could stop Shaq. And again,
Yeah.
like this is one of those things where it's like, can you put him ahead of these championship winning players? And why? Because of his like defensive, because of like his like kind of like not I want to say like flash in the pan, but he played 18 seasons, but those like last several years, he wasn't the kind of player that he was in his early
Right,
career.
but you still give like those last years where I think he was backing up Yao Ming. Um,
Yeah, right.
and I bet you he has it's a way to see Dikembe Mutombo career winning percentage. This guy, I bet you won a lot. I don't think he was on a lot of bad teams. And that's probably why.
Mutombo career win percentage. Yeah, let's look.
Okay, guess. Is it, I would say 55, at
50,
least.
just 50. 54. You're right there. But I won without going over. Season winning.
Okay, now check someone like Chris Webber.
Higher, just a bit higher.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay. That this is an interesting stat. Like when looking at these, when
Yeah, like
looking at
ahead of
greatness.
Weber. I guess he was more iconic than Weber in some ways. More maybe had more visibility as like an NBA brand, ambassador or something like that.
Oh, and didn't he go to Georgetown too? Or
He did.
no?
I think so. Did he go to Georgetown?
Yeah, that's what it was. Him, Mourning, and Ewing, I think, all went to Georgetown like back to back to back.
Yeah, he went to Georgetown too. Nice, nice. Fourth
What
overall.
a what a what a streak Georgetown had there.
Yeah, well, not the AI also up there,
And
but
then they picked up AI. Yeah, damn.
yeah. So I think again, it's like when I think about it, it's like okay, better than Zoe. Okay, they're probably in the same category. They're both in the 80s. But like I still think championships and like are more important than this. But I
You
guess
would you would you would because you're a Laker fan.
yeah, right, fair enough. I guess, but we'll take it. All right. Nate Archibald. I know the name, but
Yes.
pass, pass. Grant Hill.
Oh, love
Talk
me
about a
some
guy
Grant
who,
Hill.
yeah,
Look at how
kind of,
badass this jersey is. This is the
yeah.
best jersey ever made.
I also think like, it's really cool, but is it too cool? No, I like it. I like these Pistons jerseys, but again, tons of injuries. Is this guy? I don't know if I would put him ahead of Zoe and Dikembe. We're talking about like, I mean, maybe because of it, he was a two-way star, but he really didn't play. He didn't play that much in the peak of his career, right? He missed. He got hurt a lot, right?
Probably the biggest what if ever. And I think I
One of the
remember
biggest
hearing
what ifs for
something.
sure.
What was the shoe brand? Not FIBA. What was the name of that shoe brand that he was back in the 90s there was a shoe brand called like FIBA. Remember Mark? What was it called?
Was it FIBA? I don't know. Fila, maybe? Fila?
Fila. It
Fila.
was Fila.
Yeah.
And these were the shittiest shoes ever, and they paid him millions and millions of dollars, and that's what blew out his ankles. And that's what
Wow.
caused him. Is
What a dig. Is that what it was? It was the shoe
that was a
sucked.
lot of people think it was the shoes.
It was the shoes. Well, I remember what I think I remember about Grant Hill because shout out to my high school and college friend Shane Billowitz because he would always tell me Grant Hill drinks Sprite. Grant Hill drinks Sprite. Right now
Yes.
he was a big on that, but yeah, I mean I didn't know that. I definitely didn't know that. It was about the shoe thing, but that makes sense. I mean the ankles if they don't support your ankles, but he was a yeah, I completely agree. One of the biggest what ifs. But can you put you a player who has the biggest what if because of injuries ahead of these other guys?
Well, I think he won a couple championships at Duke. Let's or he at least won one.
Okay, but
Okay.
that doesn't mean this is the NBA top 100. This is not like the collegiate and
And then Yep. And then he went to the Suns in the 2000s and had a bit of a resurgence as a role player and even played his last year as a Clipper.
Yeah, and he played all right in Miami too, I think, for a little bit, but
Um,
yeah,
it was the Orlando years was oh man, and that goes to show like that was brutal because Tracy McGrady was on that team and they had a max contract for Grant Hill just sitting there,
right,
just
right.
wasting salary. Um, I think he's probably too high.
Right.
And
We gotta move him down, dude, with the injuries and and
yeah,
like
but his peak, he was top three, if not the best player, like 1997, 98 after or 99,
yeah. All NBA,
top three.
five-time All NBA. That's actually more than I thought he probably got. But again, we don't know if this is like they're not saying if it's like what team, top obviously All NBA is good, but first team, second team, third team is a difference, right? So I would push him down. I would push him down.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh wow.
right. And
Oh my gosh.
talk about a player that I honestly feel bad for him, how much he gets made fun of, Paul George. I really do. But part of it is he brings it upon himself with this whole playoff P thing, never winning anything, being dominated by LeBron for years and years in Indiana, being traded being traded from the Clippers for Shea. I mean, from the Thunder for Shea. Like, there's a lot of things happening in his career that maybe he wasn't it's not necessarily his fault, but he kind of sort of is his fault, but he brings on a lot of it to himself, I think. But it also wrong situations, a lot of wrong situations.
Oh man. It's
What do you say?
I listen, I have been reading this for this guy hardcore since 2019. Um, okay, first of all, the Pacers team he was on was dope. When Paul George was coming into his own with David West and who was that big ass dude? Hibbert? I
Hibbert.
don't George Hill. Those teams actually gave Miami Heat some trouble.
Yeah, George, you got it right.
Um,
It was I think there was a young Danny Granger on that squad too, or an older Danny Granger.
older Danny Granger, yeah.
David West, yeah. So Stevenson was
Yeah,
on those teams too.
this guy just doesn't have the mentality. It was funny because I remember hearing an interview a couple of years back where he was talking about his MVP season. He's like, "Yeah, my MVP season," and all the Clipper fans are like, "Dude, you didn't win an MVP." So basically, his MVP season that he quote unquote says he has was when he was on the Thunder. He was like third in MVP votes, so he calls that his MVP season, which is
Hey,
classic Paul George mentality. If you want to know anything that like summarizes how this guy thinks about himself,
well,
he gives himself an MVP, and he was good that year. And it just so we're gonna have a Clippers curse episode coming up for the
yeah.
next couple of weeks here, where we're gonna talk about. Um, but yeah, that season kind of fooled us because we're gonna get the third in MVP plus the Finals MVP, put him on the team together. Let's do it. You trade everything for him, and then they did have he did get bad luck as a Clipper because he joined the Clippers and we're cursed. And I believe either he went down or Kawhi went down like 4 of the 5 years they were playing together in the playoffs, or where one was out.
Right.
So much talent. He's from Palmdale. Shout out Palmdale,
Down
which
Palm.
is
Yeah, I completely
pretty
agree with
close
you.
to where we grew up, about 50 miles. And yeah, just so much talent. I would not put him this high. I'd bump him down. I don't even know if I'd put this guy in the top 100, honestly.
Dang, heavy. Well, I mean, at
Yeah.
the time, I think people were rightfully so happy about that trade. But look, hindsight's 2020. But how much they gave up, we can go back and forth about it. How much they gave up for giving up Shea, because no matter what you say about Paul George's career, right now, Shea's career is better, right? You take Shea's career, obviously, right now, just from well, you have to. How can you not? I think so.
Well, Shea's got to be in this already, right? He has
Yeah,
to be.
he probably is. Yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure he is. I'm sure he is. But yeah, I guess I would just the antics of Paul George. But hey, I mean, those teams with the Pacers were good.
And it is tough that he has a podcast now and like it seems like he's washed with Embiid wash. I feel super bad for Sixers fans.
Yeah, yeah. Over there, trust the process. Gee.
Oh my God.
All right. All right,
Should we go to 75 or 70?
let's keep moving a little. I mean, we've probably been going for a little bit over 40 minutes, but I think we can probably go a little bit more. I think a 75 or 70. That's a C. Yeah, let's go to 70 maybe.
Okay.
Pete Maravich, let's see what's up. Pistol Pete. I know he's Pistol Pete, but
Basketball savant, apparently. You
Alex
know,
English, heard of him?
look
Don't
at
know.
those jerseys. Those are sick
I
jerseys.
have one of these. I have one of these for Mutombo actually. So
Nice.
I have a Mutombo jersey of this. Okay, let's keep going a little bit. Let's go. Okay, okay. Here we go. Interesting.
You're doppelganger?
You think so?
Tell us what you guys think. Does Mark look like Manu Ginobili?
Probably it's maybe it's the nose. Maybe it's the nose. You know.
Wait, Mark, have you never dressed up as Manu Ginobili for Halloween?
I have not. I know that I have not, but maybe you
Oh
could
my God,
I
Mark,
could
what are you
I could grow
doing?
that goatee. I have that same facial pattern. But again, you think, okay, but Ginobili over Parker as a top player, yes or no?
Mm,
In his own teammate. Obviously, Ginobili was not really a sixth man by talent. It was a sixth man by design. And when he came in, he was the guy, right? Like he. I think when I think about best sixth man ever, I think about Ginobili just because of the way Popovich used him. His clutch. He can score. He can shoot. He can slash. He can drive. He's a winning player. Only two-time All Star, two-time All NBA, six man of the year,
too
four-time
high.
champion. He's a
He's
guy
too
you want
high.
on your team. He's a guy. But again, it's like Manu Ginobili or like the Draymonds and the Tony Parkers. They're
No, Manu, you know what? This is perfect. Manu Ginobili or Paul George? Who do you
you
start
know
in your team with?
if you want a career, the career, if you looking back on it, well, what a question. Like how could you not say Paul George over Ginobili? But if you look at what Ginobili did in the NBA, in the playoffs, four-time champion, how could you okay, I guess if you're starting a franchise from scratch, oh man, it's hard.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to say George just because of the skill and the two-way player if you don't think about the injuries and stuff, but mentality wise, the dog, like the playoffs, like playoff Manu over, playoff P like any day, like he's not even close, I don't know, like how do you say it? You want a guy who's going to take the shot, make the shot, not afraid of the moment. Basketball is not only about stats, right, Chu? It's about competitiveness and willingness to perform and showing up at the moment is right, So I'll take Manu. I'll take Manu.
I'm taking Manu over Paul George
You
to
know,
start
I
a franchise. So a young Manu. And also this guy, you guys should look it up on YouTube, is this guy like a bat was flying around and he hit a bat down
I remember
in the
that. I
stadium.
remember that. People were pissed about it, right? Audacity.
I saw a clip of Garnett and Paul Pierce podcast a couple weeks ago where they were talking about long-haired Manu being super athletic, and I was like,
That's
yeah, dude,
right.
he was kind of athletic when he came in.
Yeah, again, striking fear in the hearts of Laker fans everywhere. Yeah, I mean, I really do think that basketball and like it really like and the more we do this like this the stats are not what make a champion, right? And it's not just the organization and the coaching, it's the chemistry but also the player. You have to give the player the credit to some extent to know how to fit, how to maximize himself and other players lead and follow at the right time. And Ginobili is an amazing example of a player who you
Yes,
want on your team.
yes, totally. And these stats are pretty bad.
He hit
44% field goal
13 points.
percentage. Like,
13 point, yeah, like he's not even like there's nothing about these stats that jump
I
off the
bet you
screen.
the first couple of years and the last couple of years really pull him down though. You
Yeah.
know, like prime, he was probably around like 16, 5 and 5, you know?
But it's strange to me that like why put him ahead of Parker? I don't know. Or like what would be the rationality of that? Um so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
You know
So
what? Also, it's very easy to be a good player when you have Prime Tim Duncan on your team who's taken all these double teams.
so
So
there's always, yeah, there's that factor too, right? There's always that factor. If you're on a team with Prime Tim Duncan, you can cook and you're not going to be doubled that much. And yeah, who's to say, dude? These are the conversations. Is he ahead of Paul George? Yeah, sure. We'll take it.
I'm taking him above Paul George.
All right. Chew, this is might be a good place to stop. You want to do a couple more? Or you think this is a good place to stop? I mean, we
Let's
could
go to
probably
70.
let's
Let's
go
go
to
to 70.
70.
There'll probably be
I
one or
know.
two more.
We could probably go to we could probably go to one if we wanted to, but I'm sure our families will appreciate us not doing all of that. So we're gonna go to 70. We're gonna do a bonus five for you guys. All right. But let's see who's next. Okay, Dave
Dave
Cohen.
Cowens.
Never heard of him.
Great name. Great name.
Yeah,
Pass.
never heard of him. Congrats, nice haircut. Okay, a nice comb over. Hal
Hungry.
Green.
I've literally never heard that guy's name. Oh,
Yeah,
wait, is he an announcer?
I have
Is
no
he, does he,
idea.
or is that Al Greer?
I don't know.
Okay, pass.
Pass. Don't know.
Never heard of this guy. Paul Azirin.
All-time All-NBA, two scoring titles, Rookie of the Year. It's pretty decent numbers, you know. But what can how do you judge it?
Look, he was old in that photo. He was old in that photo of the top 50. So he was there in,
Yeah.
yeah, that guy's.
Okay.
Here we go. Chris Bosh, number 71.
What's your what? There's a lot of ways you could take this guy's career. What are we thinking?
I'm a fan of Chris Bosh. He think he came into the league a couple years too early. I think if he came in and so he was part of the famous 2003 class and he came in 2013.
He was from
I
Georgia
think
Tech, right? He came from Georgia Tech.
I don't remember,
Oh no.
but he was two-way force, had touch from the inside and outside, and um had the what's the word, humbleness or intelligence even to be third fiddle when he when LeBron joined the Heat. So this is just an intelligent, winning basketball player. Um, and his career was cut short too with
Yeah,
the heart problems. So
yeah,
he
with the blood
I
clots.
think this is probably a little too high for him, but yeah, just like dude, this as solid as they come. Like this guy, he had no weakness. Good free throw shooter, good three-point shooter, good defender. It wasn't great at anything, but super, super solid.
He was definitely a great two-way player, like you said. The whole thing about the super team stuff and going to Miami playing third fiddle to those guys, like those teams, I think sometimes people forget just how dominant those Heat teams
They
were.
were so good.
You
Yeah.
know, and I definitely think that, if Sylvain was here, he would say they got Ray Allen, they lost to the Spurs, blah blah blah. They're not that good. But some of those teams, those Heat teams were so dominant, and you can't really deny that. But again, if you're valuing if you want to devalue Chris Bosh, you would talk about the Heat losing championships, to the Spurs. But it goes to show you, like, this is what we keep talking about. Like, what are we valuing in the top 100? Is a Chris Bosh that's everything you said, a baller, two-way player that had minimal weakness in his game, whose career was cut short, who joined up with LeBron and D Wade to go win two chips in Miami? Would he have been better off staying in Toronto his whole career, not winning anything?
No.
No, right? Like yeah, you say no. Like, dude, what if if he stayed there, where people go, oh, he was loyal and he's not this bandwagon guy. He has more heart. The narratives, there's so many narratives out there, but I don't know. Yeah, I think it was a good move. They went down to South Beach. They won some chips. It did change the NBA, and I think a lot of people will say that the NBA was worse off for it. But I don't necessarily agree with that narrative. I think it was a
Dude, look at this. He played 13 seasons. He was an 11-time All-Star.
yeah.
It's
So I mean,
incredible.
every year he was in, like pretty much, right? So I don't and let me this is a different question. Like, we're talking about those, like, just this is kind of tangentially. What do you think about this, Chew? With, like, you look at those Lakers teams and those Spurs teams, and even before, like, for those, like, Pistons teams and those Jordan teams, whatever, all those, like, pre Big Three with the Celtics, whatever. Do you think the NBA was worse off, or or was it better off, or is it, like, does it not really matter with these, like, superstars teaming up? Like, what do you think as an NBA consumer? It's a big
This
question.
is a whole other episode that we need
Okay.
Sylvain for.
Yeah.
Is the team up versus the loyalty.
Yeah.
Because you can give examples of Dirk or you can give examples of Kawhi,
Yeah. Right.
right?
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
just you can look at both ways and be like, yeah, that was right or this was wrong. Um, Personally, for me, I like the loyalty. But
Yeah.
if I was Chris Bosh, I wouldn't stay in Toronto either. So,
Right. Right. So yeah, I hear you.
like,
That's
okay,
like you
imagine
said.
you're 26. Imagine you're 26, and
Yeah.
LeBron James comes to you, and you're living in Toronto, and it's 4 degrees out, and you're like, you want to go to Miami? Win some championships? What are you doing?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it goes to show you, like, okay, if championships mean something to you, you're willing to go take a role to play third best on a team that is stacked to win. And yes, they should have won more because whatever. I'm just like echoing what Sylvain would say. I don't know. I wonder what Jay would say about this too. But I'm gonna write that. That's a better conversation. That's a whole other episode itself. So let's do one more and then we'll call it because I know
I wonder if Kevin Love is on this list. He's got to be, right?
definitely on this list. I don't know. Should I look? I don't want to tease it. I don't know.
No, 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 no. Okay,
I haven't
last
looked
one,
through
last
it.
one.
Last
It's
one.
gonna be someone we don't know. Let's see.
Let's. Wes
Wes
Unseld.
Unseld.
I don't know,
All
but
right.
damn, look at this. Looks like a tank top. All right. So look, I think we did good. We did a deep dive from 100 to 70. Okay. And I don't know. We're gonna get out of here too, but I'm gonna unshare this screen. But that was really fun. I mean, what? So just before we wrap up here, looking at what we went over with the players that we talked about, the teams that they were a part of, and the big guys that we saw, and any kind of reflective, things about the list that you liked or you didn't like, or players that were surprising or unsurprising, anything like what's like a final hot take or closing remark here?
Well,
You got
the thing that I think the best thing that we kind of discovered was
yeah.
the topic of Ginobili versus Paul George. I really liked this idea, and I at first I'm like take Ginobili, but now that I'm thinking about it more, what if Paul George was drafted to the Spurs and Tim Duncan? Like maybe is Paul George? Do we still think of him the same way? If he's playing with someone as mature and selfless and talented as Duncan and a coach as respected as Popovich, I don't know. So again, that kind of says it's like, dude, it really is a lot of it is situation. But
Right.
as their careers have panned out, I'm taking Ginobili over Paul George.
Was it Carlisle that was the coach for the Pacers? When PG was there, or was it not? Because I feel like, I mean, Carlisle obviously in his own right is a very respectable coach, right? But I'm not
Mhm.
sure if it was it his was he the coach?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
And you know what? Paul George has had every opportunity has been with talent. I can say that he has been unlucky playing with Kawhi for all those years as a Clipper where Kawhi kept getting injured, or Paul George got injured, I think at least once in the playoffs when Kawhi was healthy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean,
so
yeah,
he did get unlucky there. But yeah, tons of talent. I guess they're putting McGrady above all those guys because we haven't
they
seen
must.
McGrady yet
They must. I mean, I do agree, Chu. I think, like we're seeing it. It's like how what do you really value, as like is it
as a
this
fan,
as a
as a fan
fan,
too.
like was on when you're watching and how you assess these players' careers? Is it their decision making? Is it the intangibles? Is it like can you blame them for their injuries? Is it the statistics? Is it like, being the two or three guy on a championship winning team consistently versus being the number one guy on a team that just didn't really do much stuff, but was the main dog. Obviously, you put Parker Ginobili on a different team as the number one, they're not doing anything either, really. So, and so, yeah. But for me, I just think about like, okay, like the personal accolades and how Zoe and Dikembe and these guys were ahead of players like Parker, not Ginobili, but Parker and Draymond and Klay. I don't know. As a fan, I think the 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 ability to be on championship winning teams and be an integral part of that is good because basketball is a team sport. It's not about statistics. So that's what I felt. And also too, I kind of enjoy all those other guys that had we never heard about before. I wonder how they even put those guys in there. But hey, it goes to show you who we are as, millennial types, like watching basketball for the past 30 years and, you know, bringing it on. So, yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up there. So that was 10 through 70. And I guess, maybe we'll maybe not next week. If we have the boys, we'll jump into the Clipper curse stuff or we'll do some previews, but we'll see. But I think we should continue with this. This will be a fun thing to continue and, kind of go through the list as we go forward. Um,
Definitely, I like it because we get to talk about generations and history. It's not just like today's players.
Yeah, yeah. So hope you guys like it out there. That was a nice solid. That was probably we probably hit an hour with that one, but we'll see you guys next week. All right. Peace, y'all.